After I started practicing Aikido in the university club, I started to like it. So I started to practice a lot, like 2-3 hours every day. And then after that, there was a question that when I finished university, normally I should take a job. And at that time, that's 25 years ago, Japan was very good economically. The whole economy is going up. So everybody was trying to get a good job. In a way, everybody could get job. So the question was get better job. And at that time, when you have a good university diploma, you get a good job. And I was in a good university, so normally I could get a very good job. But then there was a question that I could also become an Aikido teacher. But then at that time, Aikido teacher was really nothing. If I become an Aikido teacher, I get just minimum survival money, which is something like 1/3 of the money which I would get if I take a normal job. So in a way, it was a bit difficult decision because everybody said that you are in a good university and why you waste your diploma or all the study you did it becomes useless.
And what was those study?
I was doing this chemics and physics, chemistry and physics in the university. So normally I would be an engineer in the big industry, something like that. And then, but then since I couldn't really decide, so I decided that maybe I'll go to India for 1 year because I was interested in yoga as well. So I took 1 year's holiday from university and I went to India. Then in India, I went sometimes in one yoga school, and then I mainly visited yogi, that means a teacher of yoga in the mountains in the north of India. Normally, this yogi are living alone and just accepting a few students if they like it. So I visited several yogi, and I remember that one yogi said that, you know what is yoga? Yoga means to give food to poor people. That's yoga. That was interesting. But then I was accepted by one yoga, and I lived in a small room just beside the cows, because this was a Hinduism shrine. And then every morning I was allowed to visit the yogi and then do exercise with him. And then while I was there, something like 6 months, and then I understood that yoga is something you do whole your life. That means to make research on life is yoga. Okay, so I decided that it's no use to stay in India because anyway I have no intention to live my life in India, and then I can do yoga in anywhere I am because yoga means make research in your life. Okay, so I decided to leave India. And then I still had a little bit of time, so I thought why not I go direction to Europe. So I took the route from India to Pakistan and Afghanistan. And then at that time I fell ill because you can see that 25 years in India, Pakistan, this rather bad hygienic condition. And then at that time I met the Muslim people there in Pakistan, and then somehow I went with them to a Muslim place in the mountains in the north of Pakistan. I don't even know the name of that. It's somewhere north Pakistan, north of Lahore, I think.
In the mountain?
In the mountain, yeah, that was in the mountain, that's I remember. And then I was somehow accepted to stay there, and then I started religious practice. Actually, my sister became Catholic, and my grandfather was a Shintoism priest, so actually I was very much in a way religious environment. I went to Catholic school for my high school. So I remember when I was in 15 years old, I wanted to become a brother of Catholic, but somehow it didn't work out.
But why did you want that?
Because I was always attracted by the religious life, this kind of pure life, that was always attracting to me. So in a way, I think I went to this Muslim people because I was attracted by the spiritual way of life there in the mountain. And so there I stayed completely with the religious atmosphere, like praying all day long, etc. And then I think I stayed there for 3-4 months. And then somebody wanted to invite me to Lahore. That's a big city in Pakistan, North Pakistan. He was a doctor, and then he wanted to take care of me. So I went to Lahore to his house, and then since he knew that I was practicing Aikido, he suggested that I should teach Aikido there. So maybe I'm the first Japanese person who introduced Aikido in Pakistan. Maybe that was 1972. And then there was a small group, and I taught Aikido. But then, of course, at that time there was no this mat, tatami. So we are just practicing in normal floor. Normal floor in Pakistan means stone floor. So clearly I couldn't throw them. So I just unbalanced them and then stopped. Because I thought it's too hard to throw somebody on the stone floor. And then there's some strange thing happened that, of course, I was always leading religious life there as well. Then, once one journalist, very intellectual, critical mind, typical intellectual journalist, he wanted to see whether Aikido technique really works or not. So he was holding me as strong as he can, and somehow my body moved without knowing, and I saw that his body fly up in the air like 1 meter up horizontally and landed on the stone floor. And then this happened without my knowing. But then interesting is that this journalist who has never fallen in his life, he's just intellectual, or he was a big guy, maybe 80 kilo or 90 kilo, but never done so much exercise, not sportive at all. He landed on the floor on his back, and then he didn't have any pain at all. Okay, so I was more surprised than him probably. Okay, because he was, then he stood up and accused me, oh, you did something strange, something like that. But then that was in a way my first experience of, in a way, strange phenomenon in Aikido technique. Before I only knew Aikido as a normal physical technique. But then there I understood that maybe there's some, in a way, strange spiritual phenomenon in Aikido technique as well. And then yeah.
Sorry, but Toe was not speaking about the mind part of Aikido?
Yeah, Toi Sensei was talking like that, but then clearly in the when you practice Aikido in the dojo, in a way you don't really try. It's not a fighting situation. It's a practice. So you are never sure whether it's real or not. Whereas there it was in a way a real situation, and then. Similar things happens 1 or 2 times. So in a way, at that time I was convinced that in a way this kind of strange thing, let's say ki in Aikido, really exists, and it does happen sometimes. And I think that's probably because I was leading religious life at that time. Yeah, and then that's why I decided, okay, maybe this ki or Aikido is something I could in a way, dedicate my life to it because I understood that phenomenon exists. So I went back to Japan and then decided to take Aikido as a profession.
So the decision came by itself in a way.
Yeah.
By the events, by the,
Yeah.
by the doctor.
Yeah. And well, by religion in a way, yes.
And why did you say? Because you seem to say it's an evidence that all this happened, the strange experience, Aikido experience with that journalist, because you was very religious at that time. You seem to put a link between.
Yeah. That's I'm sure
and
that it's not religion, but religious way of life. Because when you religious, that means you pray to God many times and just thinking about God or religion, then in a way your mind is free from the normal material part. So in a way your mind and body can be free from the material or social concepts. That's why I think religious life, true religious life, not just normal social religion, but when you really believe in God or really want to lead a spiritual life, that in a way creates the condition that your mind is really free.
But then, if you discover that, why are you all the time speaking about the fact that to believe is something?
Because then, so I understood the value of being religious. But then I found out that I couldn't really believe in God. I couldn't really believe in Catholicism, that means Jesus Christ, and I couldn't really believe in the Quran in Muslim. So in a way I failed to believe. And I think I tried to believe in God maybe much harder than most people, because I tried Catholic, Muslim, and Shintoism, Buddhism, etc., etc. But finally, I decided that I can't believe. So I prefer to be honest, and it's stupid to believe, to pretend to believe only in order to get some mysterious power.
Yeah, but it was maybe because you put God like somebody, or because in a way, when you practice with ki, isn't it a way to believe?
No,
you believe
there's
that ki exists.
No, there's nothing to believe. It's not ki exists. What I say is, since strange phenomenon happened with me, I know that strange phenomenon can happen. But so it's not a belief; it's a fact that I've experienced. But then, so far, I haven't experienced God. So if I don't experience, then I have to believe, and I don't want to believe.
Yeah, in fact, it's a big question, because some people, for example, Catholic people, when they say God, they don't say somebody there; they say something inside themselves. Then, in a way, they have the same approach as you.
Yeah, but then why you use the name of God?
It's just a name.
Yeah, so if there's just name, so it's not necessary to use.
But anyway, that's a really big question. But it's interesting because Oshiba was very religious.
Yeah, so I can understand that since Ueshiba was leading religious life, that created several strange phenomenon people talk about Ueshiba. So I think this is quite possible. But then actually, I don't find value in strange phenomena. Yeah, that's why even though religious life makes strange phenomenon, I think it's wrong to search for that.